I always grew up as a bigger kid, and I did have body image issues, but in summer 2020, I became very hyper focused on the specific body type that I felt was being thrown into the algorithm, whether it be TikTok or YouTube. I'd search specific diets, which were model diets. I'd find myself almost blacking out, seeing stars, because I felt that that's what I had to do to get to that point. I don't know if I'll ever get back to the same way I was before I was introduced to any of those concepts through the internet.
Well, that was Daisy, who says social media once took her down a dark and dangerous road. Now, this next story, unfortunately, does not have such a happy ending, but is definitely a wake up call for parents. When 14-year-old Molly Russell died in 2017, her cell phone contained graphic images of self harm. Investigators initially ruled the British teen's death a suicide, but almost 5 years later, a British coroner's court reversed the findings and now claim Molly died from an act of self harm while suffering from depression and the negative effects of online content. Now, Molly's father, Ian, is joining us virtually from London. Ian, thank you so much for being here and giving a voice to something that I think really needs to be aired out. And I, I can't imagine what you've had to deal with this loss. That's just terrible.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to me, Dr. Phil. As you've just said in the coroner's conclusion, he said Molly was suffering from depression. But what we've seen that Molly saw and saved and liked on her social media accounts, we have no doubt contributed to making her feel worse and in the end, taking her own life.
At 12:45, 2 minutes before she died, she saved a post with a depression related slogan, correct?
Yeah, I don't think we know if it was 2 minutes or 20 minutes, but we know that Molly was active on her phone the night before she died. I think it's really important to say that she showed no obvious signs of any mental ill health. She was a lovely member of our family. She was good at school. She was just one of the most caring people that I've ever met. That night, she completed her homework, handed it in online to school. We all sat down and watched TV together as a family. And I put my head round her door at bedtime and I said, "Good night, Molly, see you tomorrow morning." And she said, "Good night, Dad, see you tomorrow morning." We never did. That was the last conversation that we had. But what we do know is the last post that Molly saved on her Instagram account simply said, "The worst thing depression did to me was take my intelligence. Feeling yourself getting dumber and dumber is absolutely painful." That's the last post she saved that evening after she had gone to bed. And the next morning, we found her dead.
Wow. That is just absolutely heartbreaking. I can't even imagine. And you have no doubt in your mind that her involvement in social media and the places that she was going and what she was being exposed to contributed to her decision to end her life.
I have no doubt whatsoever. And what's more, the inquest that looked into material that had been supplied in the main by Meta and by Pinterest, because that was another platform that Molly had engaged with harmful content on. But the inquest looked into that material. And during the course of the inquest, one of the court workers had to leave the courtroom because the material was so traumatic to see. During the course of the inquest, some of the evidence that was given to the coroner came from an expert child psychiatrist. And that expert child psychiatrist, in his evidence on oath, said that having seen a fraction of the harmful material Molly had seen, he had trouble sleeping for several weeks.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.